like to welcome everybody to the Pattern Disruption Podcast. This is the show where we break through the noise and we dive into the stories of those who've shaken up the game. I'm your host, Eric Rhymes, and every week I'm gonna bring you real, raw conversations with entrepreneurs, educators, entertainers who've went from the shadows to the spotlight. So if you want to learn what it takes to rise above the rest, you're in the right place. Let's break some patterns and start the show. So without further ado, Dr. Zsa-Zsa Booker is a dedicated educational leader with over 14 years of experience in learning and development. With a PhD in education, evaluation, and research, she has successfully designed and implemented programs that drive student engagement and skill development, impacting thousands of students at Wayne State University. Her platform as a candidate for the Fitzgerald School Board focuses on three core areas: student safety, curriculum, and innovation, and a responsible budget allocation. A personal story of a child being bullied inspired her to advocate for a safe and inclusive learning environment, ensuring every student feels valued and supported. As a strong leader, Dr. Booker excels in collaboration, building teams, and fostering innovation in education. Her vision for Fitzgerald School Board includes empowering educators, fostering a love for learning, and preparing students with the skills necessary for future success. She hopes to earn your vote on November 5th as she works to invest in our children's future. Let's welcome Zsa-Zsa Booker to the stage. Dr. Zsa-Zsa Booker. Hang on. Hey there, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Is it still the morning? Oh yeah, it's still morning time.
It is still morning. Yeah, good morning. How are you?
You know, I'm great. So this is a special interview right here. Some people may know this is my sister, and I am a proud brother to see my sister not only going to school. I remember her going to school from when she was born until about late in her 30s. So she definitely put in the work, and she's planning to put in even more work in the community and helping these young people learn and grow. So Zsa-Zsa, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Eric. And I usually call my brother, so I have to put on the face. So this is interesting. I wasn't ready, but thank you, Eric, for having me on the show. I really do appreciate this opportunity to be on your Pattern Disruption podcast. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
And, I appreciate this opportunity to tell people more about my passion to be a part of the school board. You had a really great introduction, but I've been in education a long time. I've worked in the field. I have education in the field, and there were two things that really prompted this this run for this seat. The one thing is I do publicize the fact that there was a parent that I met when I was attending the school board meetings, and she was in a situation, and my heart went out to her. It was a very difficult situation because she was up against, some very powerful people. I'll say that. And so, I could tell that this parent felt hopeless in her pursuit to advocate for her daughter. And so that's what prompted me to say, okay, this is really where I need to be. I just felt it. And so, that's really the driving force. But prior to that, my inquiry really came from the fact that my daughter just kind of started in the district. And so any parent wants to know, what are we getting into here? And so that's what kind of guided my curiosity. And I just got involved and started learning more about the district. And that's kind of what led me here today. So.
Okay. So the school board, I spoke with my guest Tucson, and he talked about there were 2 years of appointment in Detroit School Board. How many years is that appointment in Warren?
Right. It is a little different. So in Fitzgerald, there are 6-year appointments.
Wow.
So we have 7 seats on the Fitzgerald School Board, and 2 seats are up this year.
Okay.
And they're 6-year appointments.
6-year
So,
appointment.
mhm.
Okay. So, yeah. So that means you have incumbents, and how long have you been in that district?
I've lived in the Fitzgerald School District since 2017. So,
Okay, 2017.
Yep. I've been a part of the community for nearly 8 years now.
Okay, so and in your platform, you emphasize safety as a key priority. Reading your bio, can you share some specific policies or measures that you plan to implement or work to implement to enhance the safety of these kids? With these school shootings and all kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of my major concerns. I think before anything else is it's like my kid has to come home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So nothing else matters other than that. That's the top concern.
Exactly.
And so, as I began to be more involved, I was starting to look at the policies. These school policies are public knowledge, right? So you can go on the school board website, the Board of Education website, and you can look at everything. You can read through it. And so I do that. And I look at, the meeting notes. And so I'm aware. And, as I was looking, I noticed that there's no specific policies and procedures in place for active assailant and active shooting scenarios in our schools. And I'm just going to be very frank. And so when I noticed that, I began to be concerned. As someone who works in education, I've been a part for many years. I've been a part of different drills and safety protocols and meetings and, trainings. And so I know that these things exist, right?
Right.
There are several different entities that offer support and resources. The Michigan State Police, the government, everybody kind of has some different types of resources. And I know that because this is a new concern, that we are all trying to scramble to identify what works. But in the midst or in the absence of having, maybe a go-to resource or policy and procedure, some districts, have nothing.
Right.
And so that's really my concern is, to just become more informed. So there are opportunities to become more informed, to learn about, what other districts are doing, to learn about, what the police think is the best practices. And so I just think that we definitely need to take advantage of the opportunity to just become more aware of the resources so that we can build, good policies that speak to the crisis that we're experiencing across the country, because it's not a secret, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. So coming up, I don't ever remember having a crisis drill in school. We had tornado drills, we had all kind of different drills, all kind of weather stuff.
Right.
This
fire
is
drill.
and fire. This is all new. And one thing I try to we touched on with Tucson, was that the school board affects not only parents, but just residents, because you're paying for it regardless with your tax dollars. So it's definitely important. And when I look at your bio, it's an emphasis kind of on bullying and that. Why is that such a big concern for you?
That's a really good question. As I said earlier, the reason that I was like, you know what, let me put my name on this ballot, let me actually sign up, was because, again, a parent was going through a serious situation, and it dealt with bullying. It did concern bullying.
Okay.
So that's the truth. But also, I'm not sure if we kind of think about how all of these things kind of come together. So I'm really, really advocating for us to take another look at our curriculum and how we budget our curriculum and the things that we put into our curriculum, because bullying is something that in many districts we've taken away funding and allocation for, and it falls within mental health and holistic approach or a holistic support for our children, right? And I mean, if we kind of look at or take a step back at, the things that are happening across our country in the schools, sometimes, I want to say oftentimes, things can be avoided if students are feeling supported, if they're feeling heard, if they have mental and emotional health and support in the schools. And so, bullying is one of those things. I think if we can find ways to address it, find ways to help support our students who are bullies and who are being bullied, I think that we kind of help to support a healthier environment for our children, right? We talk about mental health and emotional stability. And so that also keeps down, some safety concerns.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff is connected. Our curriculum, safety, our budget, all of those things are very close knit and tied together. And so I just ask that we kind of take a closer look at those things and how they affect each other.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of budgeting allocations, what are some areas that I guess that you can see that need improving? Other than curriculum, are there any other areas that you feel like need improving?
So I definitely think that our budget for mental and emotional health programs in our schools is important, and we just I just kind of elaborated on that. It's unfortunate that a lot of money was taken away from that particular area of funding most recently in our county. And so, I've been tracking it, and it's unfortunate. And so I think that that's a highly important topic that needs to be reviewed in our budget. But also, and this kind of goes back to curriculum, unfortunately, but how we look at our curriculum and how we're preparing our students after school. So after I'm done with K through 12, how are we preparing our students to transition into adult life, right? Are we giving them the things that they need? And so I think that we really need to think about programs, skilled trades programs in particular, that, kind of get our students to understand that, college is not for everyone. And this is coming from Dr. Booker. I do not think that everyone who comes out of the K through 12 sector needs to go to college. And so I think that it takes all types of people to help our country run. And so with that being said, we have to provide opportunities for our students to learn about what that looks like. What does that landscape look like? If I'm not going to college, well, what are my other options? I can still make a lot of money. If the goal is to make money, I can still make a lot of money. If the goal is to have, autonomy over my life, there's so many things we can do to get to where we want to be. And it doesn't necessarily all fit into, a bachelor's degree. Right. And so I think that, we need to think about how we are funding programs such as that help give our students a more well-rounded view of the opportunities that are out there for them after high school.
So you will be collaborating with different personalities once you take this, because I'm an optimist, so I already see you in the seat. So once you're there, you will collaborate with people. A healthy school board consists of, you need somebody that's good with budgeting. You need somebody that's good with research. You just need a lot of different pieces.
Yes.
What do you feel like you bring to this school board?
Right. So I completely agree with you. It takes, different skill sets. I agree, to kind of make this all work. Right. And so with that being said, I think that, because of the nature of the way my career has evolved, I've had an opportunity to work in, K through 12. I've worked in that sector. I've worked strictly on an undergraduate, 4-year college, setting. I've also worked now currently in a professional setting, a professional school setting. So I'm working with students who are trying to get advanced degrees, not just bachelor's. So because I've had that experience in different areas, I think that I have the knowledge to know, what these entities are looking for, what's missing. Because oftentimes, in higher ed, we do have these conversations about, what does the curriculum look like, before they get here, and why do some students come without these types of skills, right?
Right.
One thing in particular is learning skills. That's something I'm really passionate about, and something I think we tend to forget in K through 12 is teaching students how to learn. It's not just a snap of the finger and I know what spaced repetition is. I know what a study schedule is. Students are not.
I don't know that stuff. Go
right.
ahead.
I didn't know it either before, I became a part of the teams that I've worked with throughout my life, throughout my career. And so I think if we give our students, these skills, time management, concentration, even health and wellness skills, if we give these students these skills early on, when they get to college or, their skill trades programs, they are more equipped to deal with that level of education, that advanced level of education. And they're more equipped to be adults, right? Because we also have to manage our lives once we're done with whatever programs we're going to go into to become, to get into our profession, right? We have to be managing our lives. We got to pay our bills. We got to, keep up with our budget, our own budget, so we have to equip our students with those skills. And that is just one facet of something that I think I bring to the table that is just kind of outside the box, things that we don't think about.
Okay. And so the Fitzgerald School District they face different challenges than Detroit School District. What challenges are specific to, or do you even know that yet? You're not in the seat yet. You can only do so much research to find that out, because that's kind of a group. They're not going to just put that out. But, or is it public information?
So you're right. There are different challenges, obviously, across, school districts. And so I believe, Fitzgerald is a small school district, very close-knit. You'd be surprised how small. It's very small. There's only 6 schools in our district. 5 are actually, bricks and mortar. One is a virtual school for high school students. And so there's only 6 schools in our district. And so very small and close-knit. Everyone kind of knows each other. And so I say that to say that I think our community understands what some of the more significant challenges are. One that I'm thinking of right now is, unfortunately, we have experienced a lot of our teachers and staff, kind of transitioning out of our district. And so I think that is a huge concern for our district. Losing good teachers and good staff, good admin in any school district is a detriment to our students' education, right? So I think that is a huge challenge that we are facing right now, and it's unfortunate because I think that when we have situations where we see a lot of staff and teachers exiting our schools at a mass pace, it only negatively affects our kids. Right. So, I keep saying if I were to join the district, if I were to be, the person who kind of got picked to sit on the school board, that would be something that I would like to address like right away, if possible.
Okay. So just keeping good talent.
Absolutely. Keeping
Okay.
the people there, and keeping good teachers
Yeah.
and staff in the buildings with our kids.
So if someone is in Warren right now and they're watching this, how do they know? Because how many districts do you know how many school districts are in Warren?
Yeah. So
Well, I just because there are people that watch my show they do live in Warren.
Mhm.
I tell them, you vote for my sister. She's in Warren. They're like, I'll vote for her. But what's the odds of them? You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
one of those niche things. So,
Yeah. Yes.
you know,
It is not like Detroit. It's
yeah,
not.
yeah,
Yeah. You know, this school district, like I said, is very small.
yeah.
It's a small district.
Okay.
There's only 6 schools, and it's a small community. It's from DeQuinder to Mound, and some parts of 11 Mile back to 8 Mile. It's very small.
Okay. Okay.
And so there are other districts um, within, Warren and Fitzgerald. I think Fitzgerald is a very special district. As I get to know the community, there are people, not just some of the board members, but there are people in the community that I talk to who, I went to Fitzgerald, my kids went to Fitzgerald, my grandparents, like it's just such a close knit community. And people really care about the district. And so I was able to learn a lot about how close people are and how much people know about, again, the things that are going on and the challenges, and also some of the really remarkable things that our students are doing now within the district too. So, yeah, very small
Okay.
district.
So November 5th is right around the corner.
Yes,
Is this the first public office you ran for?
this is. Yes, it is. It is my first time running for anything. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, you have a lot going for you. Not only education, not only you have your name, because this is a lot of name recognition stuff too. That's one thing. You got to put your name in the hat so people start seeing it. And that's definitely good. And then also you're invested, you have a child in the district. So they know that whatever affects your child will affect theirs.
Exactly.
So, and then a host of other things. But with November 5th approaching, what would you say to voters who are still undecided about supporting you?
Yeah. So you know what? The truth of the matter is that I think the other two candidates who are incumbents, who are on the ticket with me, I believe that all three of us honestly have the best interests of the students at
Okay.
Fitzgerald in mind. I can
Mhm.
say that. And I believe that if given an opportunity, I think that change can be a really good thing. I think that change can be a good thing. I think that having someone like myself who brings some different things to the table, like we talked about earlier, having experience in different sectors of education, having evaluation experience in the K through 12 sector, being able to evaluate educational programs, just having, a different, perspective, I think can be something that can be advantageous for this school district. I think that, having diversity is also
Yeah,
very
I was going to
important.
ask that next.
Yep. And so those things should be considered. I think those things should be considered. I think any school board, across our country should be representative of the individuals who attend the school. Our district is very diverse. It's very small, but it's very diverse. And so with that said, I think it should be more representative of the students that attend the schools. And so those are some things to consider. But I
Yeah.
think we all want what's best for the kids.
And the incumbents, how long have they been in office?
One of the incumbents has been in office for many, many years, many decades. I'll say that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
and the other less than 10 years, but approaching that. So
And as far as youth, do they have younger people on the board, or would you be one of the younger ones?
I think if I were appointed to the seat or elected to the seat, I'm sorry, not appointed, elected, I think I may be one of the youngest people on the board. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. Definitely, we need youth
Mm-hmm.
and people with new ideas. You know what I mean? That's always good. So, as someone who's deeply committed to education, how do you think we can better prepare students for the real world beyond academic success? I think you talked about that a little bit, but
Yeah.
if you could just
Yeah.
touch on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Academic success is highly important, highly important. Um, and having a diverse workforce is also just as important.
Yeah.
Having, skilled trades members. I mean, I've read articles where, the number of plumbers, for example, has gone down tremendously. And so it's to the point where, in a few decades, we won't have any. And so I'm constantly reading stuff like that. And so we definitely we could have some issues in the future if we don't start to really think about how we can get our students to consider other opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's something that's really important, very important. We need to put not just programming, but obviously some money behind that.
Okay. And I want to also ask, so we talked a little bit about your education. Um, in a show that I did in the past, I talked about you being. Would you say that you were average, above average student?
So I would say that because it depends on what you mean when you say student. Do you mean as far as like do I think my smarts, like as far as how smart I was, or just how dedicated I was? Because I think the difference between me and others is not that I was just so smart, it's just that I was really committed to getting it done, right?
Right.
I really knew that my education meant something to me throughout all of it, right?
Yeah.
From a very young age, I knew that this is it for me. Like, I really have to take this serious. So I think that's more of it for me, is that I just
wanted it.
I wanted it.
And that's one thing I like to touch on with you, because a lot of times people feel like PhD is impossible if you're just not, and everybody, like you said, school's not for everybody, but you are a shining example of someone who just really wanted it. It was just really wanted. And that is something that I see. That's a thread that runs through you. So with this candidacy, I can see that up until those ballots are cast, you will fight. And when you get there, you won't stop fighting. So that's good. And in closing, I would like to know, for one, what's your vision for the future of Fitzgerald schools, and how do you plan to ensure the long-term success if elected?
Yeah. So what do I see for the future? One thing that I see is more community engagement and collaboration.
Yeah.
I think too many stakeholders within our district feel unheard and undervalued. And so I really do believe that one of my attributes is the ability to collaborate well with others, especially on this type of platform. We have to work together to get the job done. And so that is really something that I would like to strive to work harder at. And not saying that they're not doing a good job at that, but work harder to get more community engagement and involvement from all stakeholders. And then also, strengthening the core, right? If the core isn't strong, then, everything else is
Yeah.
is not organized. It's not together. And so strengthening the core means, having a really strong team of people who, have a set vision, right? We're all on the same accord and we're working together to get the job done. I think those things in relationship building, not just with, the school board, but, the teachers, the staff, the the bus drivers,
Yeah.
right? The people who are crossing guards in our schools, everybody working together because we all want the best for our kids. So I think that that's really, my goal is to kind of get the community more involved in this process and
Hmm.
these decisions that need to be made, and strengthening the core in our educational system. I think that that's a priority. That's a priority.
Okay. Okay. And what? So we understand that we want to put one foot in front of the other. We want to get to our goal for next month. But what's next beyond for Dr. Zsa-Zsa Booker?
Yeah. So I spoke on it a little bit, and I think it's really important that we identify ways to introduce the concepts of learning to
Yeah.
our kids, right? I think that if more kids were aware that this concept exists, right? Like I said, time management, concentration, test taking skills. If our kids were aware that these concepts existed, I think they'd be stronger, right? They'd
Yeah.
be more prepared. And so I'm looking at opportunities to introduce that to our kids at a younger age. And so
Okay.
I think that that's important. Obviously, I feel very strongly about, being a part of the school board. Just by uh, this this opportunity to run for school board has opened up, a lot of more
Yeah.
inquiries that now I have about just the community that I live in. And so I'm learning more every day. There's a lot of great things happening in Warren. And
Hmm.
so, to answer your question more directly, I'm not sure what else
Okay.
is in store, but, I am always working and striving to identify how I can be more a part of the community. And that's what this is about.
Okay. Okay. And how do people get in contact with you if they want to support the campaign? Obviously, they need to be in the district, but we'll get to that when we cross that road. But how do people get in contact with you and your
Yes.
campaign?
Yes. So I am on social media. You can reach me at Committee to Elect Zsa-Zsa Booker on Facebook. And that is the easiest way to get me. Again, Committee to Elect Zsa-Zsa Booker on Facebook. That's how you can reach me.
Okay. All right. So we definitely appreciate your time. Uh, you know, Again, we wish that we had you here in Detroit, but you go to the Fitzgerald and be great. I see a bright future for you in politics. A lot of times that word politics it has some negative connotations sometimes. But I know you, and I've seen what you've done as far as just your growth, development, and just bringing people together. I'm a part of I've been on the campaign trail with you as well, out in the streets. Not as much as I would like to have been, but I won't have a show this Saturday. But next week, if you're part of, no, next month, if you're part of Fitzgerald as well as Detroit, wherever you are, make sure that you go out and vote. This is a pivotal election. And our local politics are they're not a lot more important, but they're just as important as the presidential race. So we appreciate everybody that came on the show. We appreciate you. Is there anything that you want to touch on before you go?
Yes, yes. And thank you for coming out, Eric. I
Oh yeah.
appreciate
Oh yeah.
you. And I appreciate every volunteer who's been out. engaging with the community with me. That is all love. I really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
But you just brought up a really good point, the ballot and getting out and voting and understanding that even if you go for one ticket, even if you decide Democrat or Republican and you say that's my straight ticket, education, judicial system, those things are nonpartisan. So you still have to fill out the second half of your ballot. That's where the school board falls. It's usually at the very end of your ballot. If you don't do that part, then we don't get the vote. So you do have to participate in the nonpartisan section of your ballot. So, don't forget that part. Sometimes it's even on the back. You got to flip it over and do that part, because those local offices are just as important as those, governor, presidential races. So make sure that you do that.
Okay, most definitely. Well, we appreciate your time. Good luck and Godspeed. Thank you so much for coming on. If you would like to reach out to Zsa-Zsa or be a part of the campaign or support the campaign, if you're in her district, Committee to Elect Zsa-Zsa Booker on Facebook. I appreciate everybody coming in here today. Zsa-Zsa, I'm going to take you off stage. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, sis. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.